Not looking so great for you, Humphrey. It's always the butler, eh? Much worse, Kara said, casting a dramatic glance at each of them in turn. Just a couple of days ago, Humphrey was talking about Reginald Remy. He turned to me, with this terrible glint in his eyes, and said, "I wish he were dead." The room fell silent, the only sound the soft, rising and falling notes of muted trumpets. Connor shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Thanks, Dora, for revealing our private conversations," Connor said, pointedly emphasizing the word. "I had to tell the truth," Kara replied, raising her hands. "A man is dead." "Yes, but not because of me." "Is it true?" Pip asked. "Did you say that? Did you wish Reginald dead?" "Yes, I said it, but I didn't mean it." Connor fiddled with his white bow tie like it was tightening around his neck, trying to strangle him. "I was just blowing off steam. I'm sure most butlers have a few choice words about their masters. I was annoyed at him, that's all. A couple of weeks ago, I asked him for some time off, and Reginald flat out denied me. Said he was too busy to let me go on short notice, no matter how much I begged." "Why did you want time off?" Pip asked, pen poised above the page. "To visit my daughter. I hardly ever get to see her, and now it was important to me. I was angry, that's it. But that doesn't make me a murderer." "Makes you look dodgy as fuck, though," Aunt muttered. "You can talk, Bobby," Pip shot back. "And anyway, if we're talking about dodgy," Connor finally unclipped his tie, pointing a finger at Kara. "Let's talk about Dora Key, shall we? Since you decided to spill my secrets." "Fine by me. I'm an open book, or an open cook," Kara replied with a wink. Pip shifted in her seat, pushing her chair back so she could properly watch the unfolding argument. "Oh, really?" Connor said, steepling his fingers. "Dora Key was hired by Reginald just 6 months ago. I knew the cook before her very well. We'd worked together for 15 years. Then, out of nowhere, she quits. No warning, no explanation. She'd never mentioned leaving before. And just before she boarded the boat to the mainland, she told me someone was forcing her to quit, threatening her life. But she wouldn't say who." He turned his gaze back to Kara. "Then, 2 days later, Dora Key shows up. The new cook. And your food is terrible. So, who are you really, and why are you here? How dare you?" "I made you Domino's pizza," Kara said, trying, and failing, not to smile. Okay, Jamie interrupted, stepping in to silence them all. "It's clear there are a lot of secrets in this room. And some of those secrets might be connected to the murder. But for now, it's time for each of you to discover your own biggest secret. Please turn to the next page, just be careful that no one else sees it." Pip's chair screeched against the floorboards as she shuffled back to the table. "Wait, can I go to the bathroom before we do the next bit?" Aunt asked. Jamie nodded. "Yep, sure. The rest of you can read your secrets while we wait." Pip's heart climbed up into her throat as she snatched up her booklet. What was her biggest secret? What exactly was Celia Bourne hiding? She wondered. She turned the page. "Your secret, you are not who you say you are, Celia. You've been lying this entire time, you're not a governess. You're a spy, working for His Majesty's Secret Service. A few weeks ago, you were approached by a handler and offered a handsome sum, along with a permanent position, if you agreed to investigate your uncle, Reginald Remy. The government suspects that he's connected to communist sympathizers and may be involved in seditious activities. They believe he recently made a large payment to a known communist agitator, Harris Pick. Your mission was to find evidence of this transaction. It was you who broke into the safe, after leaving the library and before Reginald returned to his study at 5:15 p.m. You stole his checkbook. That was all that was inside, certainly not the new will. When Ralph overheard your phone call, you were reporting to your handler. You must keep this secret. If anyone discovers you were the one who broke into the safe, you must lie about your reasons. Say you were looking for an old photograph of your mother, one you believed your uncle kept in the safe. Explain that you only took the checkbook because you wanted to see how much Reginald was giving to the other family members. You've always resented feeling left out. Pip put her booklet face down and didn't glance up, in case someone was watching her and could somehow read the secret written across her face. A spy. She had suspected her secret would be big, but a government spy? That changed everything. And Ralph, he'd overheard her say the word terminate during her phone call. What if those were orders? What if she'd been sent not just to find evidence, but to eliminate Reginald if she did? What if she was the murderer? Could she have done it? She tuned back in. The others had resumed talking. Maybe it was safe to look up now. No one was watching her, and yet, she still felt watched. Can I just check my phone for 2 seconds, Connor? Lauren asked. My boyfriend's probably texting me, wondering why I'm ignoring him. No, Kara answered instead. He knows you're at a murder mystery party. You can go a few hours without contacting him. Okay, has everyone read their secrets? Jamie asked. Oh, wait, Ant's not back yet. He's been gone a while, someone said. He hasn't drunk enough to pass out, has he? I'll go check on him. He left the room. Pip turned toward the windows, but it was completely black outside. All she could see was their own reflection, and Kara, making bunny ears behind Pip's head, and the dancing candle flames. Connor's reflection returned. I can't find Ant, he said. I checked both the downstairs and upstairs bathrooms. He's not there. He's gone. What? Pip said. Well, he must be somewhere. Jamie pushed up to his feet, taking charge. Come on, Con, he said. Let's go look again. They left the dining room. Jamie's voice echoed through the house. Aunt? Where've you gone? Kara turned to Pip. What's going on? I don't know, Pip replied. He can't have actually gone anywhere. Connor, unlock our phones, Lauren said. We need to call him. How are we supposed to call him when I also have his phone? Connor replied. As the scene unfolded, Pip watched with a strange detachment. It felt like a performance. A game. Jamie, is this part of the game? She asked. Ant going missing? No, it isn't, he replied. Was it something in Ant's booklet? She asked. Did it tell him to hide? Is he the next to be murdered? No, Jamie said. I promise this isn't part of the game. This isn't supposed to happen. Pip believed him. She could see the unease in his expression. Where could he have gone? It's dark out, she said, gesturing to the window. And he doesn't have his phone. Something's not right. What do I do? Jamie asked the room. I don't, but Pip didn't hear the rest. A sharp, sudden pounding erupted from the window. Someone was out there. Unseen. Knocking. Again and again. Faster and harder, so hard that the window pane seemed to shake in its frame. Oh my God! Lauren screamed, scrambling back against the wall. Her chair clattered to the floor. All Pip could see was their own terrified reflection, wide eyes, pale faces. They were blind in here. But someone out there could see everything. Pip felt Kara's hand grasp hers a split second after she saw the movement in the reflection. The pounding quickened, louder now. So did Pip's heartbeat. Maybe there was more than one person out there. And then, silence. Connor began, but he didn't finish. The outside suddenly flooded with light, blazing through the window. Pip shielded her eyes, blinking until she could make out a figure silhouetted against it. It was Ant. Jamie slammed his booklet down in frustration, turning to his brother. I'm sorry, Connor said. He's always like this. Pulling pranks. Well, can he do it on his own time? Jamie snapped. Now we might not have time to finish. Yeah, sorry, Jamie. I know you put a lot of effort into tonight, Connor said. He turned to the window and shouted, "Aunt, come back inside." Then, under his breath as Aunt stepped away from the window and headed toward the kitchen door, where he must have snuck out, he muttered, "So not funny." "So not funny," Lauren echoed, righting her chair and sitting back down. "Hey, guys," Aunt said breathlessly as he re-entered the room. "Oh God, that was hilarious, you should have seen your faces." "And Pip," he turned to her, "you kept looking directly at me. I thought for sure you could see me." Was all Pip said in response. "Well," said Zach, "at least it was just a prank and Aunt hasn't been brutally murdered by an intruder." Always the peacemaker, Zach. Though Pip wasn't entirely sure she agreed with him just now. "Anyway," Jamie said, raising his voice, "we need to get on, or we'll never bring this murderer to justice. If Bobby Remy has finished goofing around, let's continue." He opened his master booklet and scanned its pages. "So, now that you've all discovered your own greatest secrets, the ones you must protect at all costs, it's time to share a few secrets you might know about your fellow suspects. Everyone, please sit down and turn to the next page in your booklet. In this round, if anyone says the word spy or spying, you must visibly flinch each time it's spoken. You must also refer to someone as a communist at least once during the conversation. Oh no. It seems you've left evidence behind that directly implicates you as the person who broke into Reginald's safe. You accidentally left Reginald's checkbook in the billiard room before dinner. At some point during this round, you need to sneak off and recover the evidence before anyone else finds it. Remember your training, Secret Agent Bourne." "What?" Pip blinked and reread the last point. Why would she just leave evidence lying around? What kind of amateur spy was Celia Bourne? Pip would never be so careless. And now she had to go and fix it before anyone caught on. The cupboard in the hallway, that was the billiard room. But how could she leave the dining room without raising suspicion, especially after the ridiculous stunt Aunt had just pulled? "Well, if we're talking about secrets," said Connor, speaking in character as Humphrey the butler, "I suppose I might know one. A particularly juicy one." "Spill, old Hump," said Kara. "I don't mean to be improper," Connor began, "and I certainly wasn't spying." Pip flinched. She didn't even have to fake it. The word had come up far too soon. Her wrist bumped her glass, but she caught it before it toppled. Connor caught her eye. "Sorry," she whispered. "It was yesterday, late afternoon," Connor continued. "As I was walking through the house, performing my butlering duties, I heard, well, from one of the bedrooms upstairs, I heard a man and a woman. Well, I believe they were engaged in relations." Aunt snorted. "Well, we do have a married couple staying here," said Pip, gesturing to Zach and Lauren across the table. "Ralph and Lizzie." "Yes, very good, ma'am." Connor gave a theatrical bow. "Except I was on my way to the lounge when I heard the, relations, and young Master Ralph was in the lounge at the time, playing chess with his father." Kara gasped again and pointed at Lauren. "Why are you pointing at me?" Lauren looked horrified. "It could have been any one of us." "Very unlikely to be me, as I'm a lowly cook and 100 years old," Kara replied. "Well, it could have been Pip, Celia, Lauren offered. No, it couldn't," Pip said thoughtfully. "If Humphrey the butler, Ralph, and Reginald were all downstairs at the time, there's only one man it could have been, Bobby." Everyone turned to Aunt, who struggled to keep a straight face as he stroked his mustache thoughtfully. They all turned to Aunt, who was attempting to keep a straight face as he thoughtfully stroked his mustache. "Yeah, so maybe it was Pip and Aunt," Lauren said, louder than necessary. "Bobby is my cousin," Pip reminded her. "Well, so, incest is a thing," Lauren spluttered. "I think thou doth protest too much, Lizzie dear," Pip replied, clicking her pen in a way she hoped was sufficiently annoying. "It's pretty clear who those relations were between. Nice to see you're so close to your brother-in-law." "Sorry, Ralph, it must be hard for you to hear." "I'm devastated," Zach said with a smile. Well, I fiercely deny it, Lauren said, looking embarrassed as she shuffled her chair farther away from Aunt. The butler must be mistaken. He's old, we can't trust his hearing. And why are we all turning on each other? It's ridiculous. All right, communist, Pip said. It didn't quite fit, but where else was she going to squeeze that in? You know what, fine, Lauren snapped. Because I know you've been keeping secrets yourself. I've seen you twice this weekend take a piece of paper out of your pocket and just stare at it. I even caught you crying once. What is it? What is this secret note you've been carrying around, eh? I don't know what note you're talking about, madam, Connor replied evenly. Oh, do you mean this note? Jamie asked, suddenly on his feet and standing behind his brother's chair. He leaned over Connor, reached down the inside of his dinner jacket, and pulled out a folded piece of paper from the inner pocket. Jamie, what? Connor exclaimed, beaming up at his brother in disbelief. When the hell did you sneak that in there? I have my ways, Jamie said with a sly smile, brandishing the folded note. Pip could see the words clue number 3 printed on the back. Well, Jamie said as he opened it. Thanks to your sharp eyes, Lizzie. He pretended to read it with mock seriousness. Interesting. Here, pass this around. He handed the note to Pip first. Connor leaned in to read it over her shoulder. The note read, smallpox is a highly contagious and frequently fatal disease. It is characterized by high fever and a distinctive rash that leaves pustules all over the body. Transmission occurs via the respiratory tract through air droplets. In fatal cases, death will likely occur between 10 to 16 days after the initial onset of symptoms. Strange, Jamie commented as Pip passed the clue to Kara. It looks like a page ripped from one of the medical books in Reginald's library, she added. Smallpox? Zach read aloud when the page reached him. It was eradicated by the 1980s, Pip noted. Oi, no time travel, Jamie said, giving her a playful smack on the head with his master booklet. Why do you have this in your pocket? Lauren asked Connor as the paper made its way into her hands. And why do you keep looking at it? No reason. Connor replied. I'm just interested in the topic, that's all. I sometimes like to read to pass the time, though the master never approved of that. Called it idleness. That's why I hide it. Sounds very unlegit to me, Kara said, narrowing her eyes. Connor looked like he wanted to say more, but he had nothing else to offer on the matter. Maybe now was a good time for Pip to sneak off to the billiard room and find a place to hide the incriminating evidence. She set down her pen and was just about to speak when Aunt cut across her. She missed her chance. You know what, he said, slipping into character as Bobby. I've been thinking this all weekend, and now, sitting across from you, I'm almost sure. He turned to stare at Kara. I recognize you from somewhere, Dora Key. I'm certain this isn't the first time we've met. Oh, don't tell me we've shagged too, she quipped, pretending to scour her booklet for the offending line. No, but I've definitely seen you somewhere. Somewhere, he said, pretending to search his memory while dramatically fingering the sides of his mustache, like a caricature. Then it clicked, and his expression changed. Remembered, have you? Kara said. I recognize you too, from somewhere. Pretty foolish of you to bring it up, Bobby. Doesn't look great for either of us. I know, Aunt admitted. But my booklet told me to. Ah, that sucks. Maybe we can just keep this mutually damaging secret between us? Nope, not allowed, Jamie interjected. Spill. Now. Okay, fine. Aunt raised his hands in mock surrender. I recognize you from the Garza Casino in London. I've seen you there a few times, hanging around with the Garza family. I know it's you. I recognize the deep face painting lines on your face. Ah, thank you. My best feature, Kara replied. Wait, why would a lowly cook be hanging around in a high-end casino? Lauren asked, a good question, for once. Pip and her pen were poised, waiting. Judgmental, Kara said. Poor people like to gamble too. And this was all before I was employed by Reginald Remy and moved here, so I don't see how it's any of your business. Anyway, why are you all so focused on me? Bobby was there too. And what's more, she leaned forward, I've seen him there multiple times, hanging around with a known gang. Once, I even saw him selling small packets of white powder to casino goers. Sounds like drugs, Jamie remarked. Wait, Zach jumped in, turning to Aunt Bobby, you've been going to the Garza casino? Our rivals? Our enemies? Well, it's not like I can walk into any Remy casino in the country, is it? I was permanently banned. So you've been gambling again? Zach looked genuinely betrayed. You never gave it up, even though you promised Father, and the rest of us, years ago that you would? Guilty, Aunt said, pressing one hand dramatically to his pinstriped chest. Father promised to cut you off if you ever gambled again. Did he find out? Zach asked. Nope, Aunt said. What about Mother? She was friendly with Mr. Garza's wife before her death. Maybe Mrs. Garza told her, Zach pressed. Zach's brow furrowed, a shadow crossing his eyes. Ralph didn't believe his brother, Pip could tell. And you were dealing drugs? She pressed, turning to Aunt. What, you believe the word of a cook? Aunt shot back. Come on, cousin. I know we all love to hate on Bobby, but Dora is clearly just trying to deflect from why she was there, which is very suspicious in itself. He wasn't wrong about that. Why had Dora Key been spotted frequenting a high-end casino, hanging around with the Remy's main business rivals? A lull settled over the group, a natural dip in the confrontation. Pip knew that if she didn't move now, she might not get another chance. Hey, can we pause for a second, she said, snapping her notebook shut so the others couldn't sneak a look at her theories. I need to pee. Jamie nodded. Where are you going? Kara demanded. I just said, Pip replied, glancing back from the threshold. To pee. And don't worry, I won't pull a disappearing act like Aunt. Can I come with you? Kara asked, stepping forward. No, Pip's heart pounded against her ribs. Kara was going to ruin everything. I'm just going to the toilet, you weirdo, she said, palms starting to sweat, hoping that would be enough to hold Kara off. Kara relented, and Pip strolled out of the dining room alone, padding quietly down the hallway. She opened the downstairs toilet door and closed it firmly, making sure the sound carried over the music. But Pip wasn't inside. She continued down the hall, her feet sinking softly into the carpet. She stopped outside the cupboard with the gently swaying sign, billiard room. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the handle. Why was she nervous? This wasn't real. None of it was. But it didn't feel that way. She felt different, more alive, more aware, her skin electric with anticipation. She opened the cupboard door. And there, on the floor in front of a rack of shoes, was something that hadn't been there before, a folded piece of paper labeled clue number 4. She bent down and stretched out her hand. But she never reached it. Her fingers barely grazed the paper before unseen hands grabbed her from behind, fingers digging into her shoulders, yanking her away. Pip lost her balance and fell, landing hard on her back. And finally, she saw who it was. Kara, what are you doing? She asked, stunned. But it was too late. Kara had already swooped in, head ducked inside the cupboard, her hand closing around the paper. She turned back toward Pip, a wide grin spreading across her face. I knew you were sneaking off to do something naughty, she said, jabbing Pip in the ribs with her free hand. How on earth did you know? Pip asked, getting to her feet and shaking off the feather boa tangled around her arms. My booklet told me, Kara said. It said you'd try to sneak off and that I had to catch you and find the evidence before you could destroy it. Ugh, Pip muttered, brushing herself off. This bloody game, setting her up to fail. Well, at least now we know you don't just want to watch me pee, Pip said. Not my thing, sorry, Kara replied, extending her hand with the clue. Pip reached for it, just within grasp, when Kara suddenly whipped it away and hid it behind her back. LOL, joke, she giggled, backing toward the dining room. Pip retaliated, poking Kara in the armpit. Ouch. That was my boob. Kara yelped, then shoved Pip playfully against the wall with her hip. What's going on out there? Came Aunt's voice. Is it a girl fight? Kara broke free and dashed into the dining room, holding the clue high for everyone to see. Celia was trying to hide this, she announced triumphantly. Pip trailed in behind her. Only because the game told me to, she said defensively, taking her seat and crossing her arms. Not a good girl, are we? Aunt teased. What is it, Dora? Open it and pass it around the table, Jamie said. It was a checkbook belonging to Reginald. The most recent stub showed a payment to Harris Pick, pound 150,000, dated July 22, 1924. Wait a minute, Zach said, his voice unnaturally even as he read from his booklet. I recognize that name. He and my father served in the First Boer War together. Father always said Harris saved his life. It was also the name of the communist agitator the government suspected Reginald of funding. And now, here was Celia's proof, £150,000. That was no small sum. Yes, well, Kara shot Pip a scathing look. I saw Celia coming out of Reginald's study around 5 o'clock this evening, holding the checkbook. She's the one who broke into the safe and stole it. Celia? Zach asked, a troubled expression clouding his face. Yes, okay, Pip sighed. I did. I was the one who broke into the safe. But it's not what it looks like. I was just looking for a photograph Reginald had of my mother. I hadn't seen it anywhere else in the house, so I figured he must keep it in the safe. I just wanted to see if I looked like her now. Oh, boo-hoo. Spare us the sob story, Aunt cut in. If that's the case, why did you steal the checkbook? Well, when I opened the safe, there was nothing else in there, just that, Pip said, pointing at the checkbook. And I guess I wanted to know how much money my uncle sends to his children, and their plus ones. She glared at Lauren. I've always been bitter about that. I was an orphan, and he could have helped me. But he never did. Interesting, Jamie said, stepping in as the inspector. So, Celia, we can now place you at the murder scene, only 15 minutes before the estimated time of death. It wasn't looking good for her. Yes, but, Pip protested. Dora just said she saw me leaving the study at 5. That means I left the scene well before the murder occurred. And why was she up there? Pip pressed. You made this whole deal about going to the vegetable patch at that time, so you must be lying too. Yes, thank you, Zach said, slapping the table excitedly. Dora, you weren't even there to not see me on my walk and throw doubt on my alibi. And why were you heading towards Reginald's study? Pip turned to her. You know what, I said it to Ralph, and I'll say it again, Lauren replied. I don't like that cook. She's always in places she shouldn't be. It's like she's spying on us. Pip flinched at the word, just a half-second too late. She looked up and again caught Connor's eye, he'd been watching her. Looking a little twitchy there, Celia, he remarked. Right. Jamie clapped his hands. We're getting very close to the truth. Soon, we'll uncover who among you is the murderer. But first, I think the killer needs to admit it to themselves. He paused, gesturing toward the table. If you look under your plates. Wait, Connor, let me explain first. You'll find an envelope with your name on it. Inside is a piece of paper that will tell you whether or not you are the killer. He raised a finger for emphasis. But you must keep a poker face, whether you're the murderer or not. Jamie's eyes swept across the group, his gaze lingering longest on Aunt OK, go. Pip slid her plate forward, revealing an uneaten slice of pizza she knew Connor had been eyeing. And there it was, tucked beneath it all along, a small envelope with her name on it. Celia Bourne. She glanced around. The others were already tearing into their envelopes. Pip reached for hers but paused, her fingers hovering just above it. What if she was the murderer? A cold, sinking feeling settled in her gut. Celia had been at the murder scene just 15 minutes before the estimated time of death. What if she'd seen the check stub from Harris Pick, evidence of Reginald's treason? And, under orders from her handler, had returned to the study to terminate her uncle? A knife through the heart. She'd never truly felt welcomed by the Remy family. Maybe her rage had taken over. Or maybe it was her training. Either way, a man was dead, and it might have been her. The answer was in the envelope. Pip picked it up, lifted the flap, and pulled out the folded piece of paper. Her heart pounded in her throat as she opened it and read the words inside, "Celia Bourne, you are not the murderer." She read it again. And again. She wasn't the killer. Thank God. Celia didn't do it. She was innocent. Pip glanced around the room as the others rearranged their expressions to mask their secrets. Connor was waggling his eyebrows in an exaggerated fashion. Lauren giggled, glancing side to side. Ant stared intently at the ceiling. Kara's eyes were comically wide, and with the cracks in her face paint, she looked a bit like her eye sockets had burst open. Zach sat in silence, straining to keep his face neutral. If it wasn't her, then someone at this table was the murderer. One of her 5 friends. Who could it be? Every single one of them had motive and means. And now Pip had 7 pages of notes on all of them, why they might have killed Reginald Remy. They all looked guilty. But it could only be one. Fantastic acting, Jamie said. Now that the murderer knows who they are, it's time for the final clue. During the course of the evening, it seems one of you has tried to get one over on old Inspector Howard Way. He jabbed his thumb proudly into his chest. Someone tried to dispose of an incriminating piece of evidence in a place none of us would think to look, hidden among the waste from this very dinner. Huh? Connor said, raising an eyebrow as he stared at his brother in confusion. Pip followed Jamie's gaze to the center of the table. 3 red candles flickered away beside a growing pile of clues, empty bottles of red wine, and Connor's beer cans. Their plates were mostly cleared, except for Pip's, still full from all her overthinking. What did Jamie mean? What had changed? And then it clicked. Something that had been in the center of the table earlier, and was now missing. The pizza boxes. Pip shot to her feet. Jamie shrugged, a playful smile on his face. What, by the bins? Connor asked. But Jamie said nothing more. Come on, Connor urged, rushing out of the dining room toward the kitchen. Pip followed close behind, notebook in hand. The Domino's pizza boxes were piled in the corner, tucked beside the bin. Connor dropped to his knees and started pulling them out, flipping open their cardboard lids as the others gathered behind him. Aha, he said, holding up a piece of paper, smeared with garlic dip and grease. On the back, in bold letters, it read, "Final clue." See? Nothing gets past Inspector Howard Way, Jamie said proudly. Please share the note with the group, Humphrey. Connor cleared his throat and read aloud, tonight. Before dinner. You promised me. We both want this, and it's too late to go back after everything we've already done. It will all be fine. Remember, he does not deserve our sympathy. I will see you later. Signed RRU, Juicy, Connor said. Literally, he added, wiping grease off his fingers. RR? Lauren said. Well, it must be from one of you too, she said, turning to the Remy brothers. And Bobby already left a note earlier today signed as RR, Robert Remy, Pip added. But something nagged at her. Some underformed thought she couldn't quite grasp. What was it? What was bugging her about this note? Sounds like the kind of note someone might send to their brother's wife, someone they're screwing behind his back, Kara said. Did you two plan to have more relations this evening? She asked Lauren, and Aunt Pip considered it. That explanation could fit. But something didn't feel right. Or, Connor offered, maybe 2 people were planning the murder together. 2 killers. That could also work, Pip thought. The note was vague enough. Her mind was racing. As the genius inspector I am, Jamie declared, I can confirm that only one of the 6 of you is our murderer. And now, it's finally time to unmask the killer. To reveal the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you would all return to the dining room, please. He gestured toward the corridor. They stumbled out of the kitchen as the others continued to discuss the murder in quick bursts, exchanging theories. Pip stayed silent, alone with her thoughts. Running the case through her head from start to finish, just as Celia might have done. Dissecting every clue, examining each from a different angle. The 6 of them took their seats again. Pip grabbed her notebook, frantically flipping through the pages. There were so many suspects. So many motives. Who could it be? All the signs seemed to point toward Robert Bobby Remy. From the very beginning, clue after clue had cast deep suspicion on him. Almost too many. And something about that didn't sit right. She was missing something. Pip had just begun scribbling a list of character names to cross them out, one by one. And then, the world went black. Everything was swallowed by darkness as all the lights blinked out. The music died, leaving behind an eerie, buzzing silence. A second later, it shattered with a scream. Lauren, stop screaming, came Connor's panicked voice from somewhere off to the right. Pip's eyes slowly adjusted, finding their place in the dark. She wasn't completely blind, the 3 candles in front of them cast a weak pool of flickering orange light, just enough for her to make out the rough outlines of her friends from the shadows. A new, faceless silhouette appeared in the doorway. What did you guys do? The shadow asked, Jamie's voice behind it. We didn't do anything, Connor replied. Must be a power cut. Not a power cut, Pip said, her own voice sounding strange to her in the dark. Look at the neighbors' windows, they still have power. It's probably a tripped fuse. Ah. Did you plug anything in? Jamie asked. No, Connor said again. We were just sitting here. Alexa was on. It's fine, we just need to reset the fuse box. Do you know where it is? Is it outside? Pip asked, fumbling to her feet. No, it's in the cellar, I think. I don't know. I never go down there, Jamie said. Because it's so creepy down there, Connor added. Have either of you ever reset a fuse box before? Pip asked. The silence from the Reynolds brothers was answer enough. No one else volunteered either. So Pip agreed to go down there,